All right, we're good. Well, hello everyone, and this is the new Health Conversation podcast. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I started the new Health Conversation movement a number of years ago. Today, I'm delighted, thrilled to bring our guest on today to share her unbelievable, amazing story with everybody, Yevette. But before I do that, just a little house cleaning. This is for educational purposes, not intended to treat, diagnose, or make any medical claims whatsoever. Before we start, I want to just show you her picture before I bring her on. That is not photoshopped. She lost 29 pounds in 18 or 19 days, and the inches and the way she's feeling is just absolutely crazy. So I can't wait to hear her story and her journey, and she's going to share that all with all of us here in just a moment. So, Yvette, welcome to the New Health Conversation. We're absolutely thrilled to have you today to help so many other people. So, I guess I would just start out with saying, are you in shock or have you recovered yet?
I would say it was shocked because I was screaming a lot. I actually almost lost my voice yesterday. It was like abundance of joy and gratitude.
Well, I know if you wouldn't mind just kind of filling us in on your journey. I know in talking to you before we even did the interviews that you've been on a long journey. Weight loss has been, sort of something that's been hanging over your head for a really long time. So, what kinds of things have you tried? And obviously, nothing's ever worked like this, not even in the same zip code. Do you agree?
Don't totally agree. 100%.
So,
A hundred
so,
percent.
so, what have you tried along the way?
Well, I tried things like I did Jenny Craig around the age of 14, 15. I did lose some weight, but again, it didn't stay off. I gained it back. I was eating school food, whatever food we eat as a youth. And then I did Weight Watchers when I got a little older after my first daughter. Then I did the keto diet.
Yeah.
That's, the hunger pains from that is serious. And I did the Atkins. I even tried recently, last year before that's when I met the people I'm working with now. I tried trizeptide that had just came out. It was kind of similar to Ozempic. And I did the bariatric diet with the trizeptide to try to get some weight loss surgery. But I don't know. After getting the results that I'm getting, I don't think I'm gonna be getting weight loss surgery. So
Good, good. Well, shameless plug for me, but this book, Why Diets Are Failing Us, I think you're proving that diets have failed you because of the fact that, on some of my previous interviews, people always ask me, what did we do? Why is it so different? I promised everyone we'll get to that in a moment, but I want to zero really in on the fact that it appears that you've been at this since you were like 14 or 15 years old. So it's been just a struggle, a struggle, a struggle. Is it safe to say now that, remember, your story is going to impact? I mean, this podcast is going all over the world, and there's
oh, wow.
so many people out there like you, as you know. I mean, right now we know as a country in the United States,
Mhm,
we have 80% of America overweight, 50% are obese, and 50% are
mhm.
pre-diabetic. And they're projecting, John Hopkins Medical School says that by 2030, in less than 6 years, 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. That means only 14% of the population won't be overweight or obese. So obviously, and this is not a pun, this is some ginormous problem, but it seems
Yeah.
like we keep just doing the same thing, whether it's keto or whether it's paleo or whether it's the zip tide or any of those things. Would you agree they're all some form basically of getting you to consume less calories? Would you agree with
Yes,
that, right? Okay,
totally agree.
right. Now, I think I had mentioned to you before, I think we were talking that the problem with that is the human body doesn't know what a calorie is. Why are we counting calories? Because someone told us. So let's
Right.
redefine weight loss. Isn't weight loss in essence, whether it was Jenny Craig or Atkins or I don't care who, it was some form of reducing the amount of food we're consuming, right? That's what it ends
Right.
up being. Okay, but what they don't tell you, and the reason you didn't have success before was because on every diet that's ever been studied, you can lose weight. I'm sure you lost weight on Jenny Craig. I'm sure you lost weight on Nutritional. I'm sure whatever it was on, but as you said, you gained all the weight back, and here's why. Because the body has a minimum amount of nutrition that we need. It doesn't care about calories. It doesn't know what a calorie is. Okay. So what
Mm.
happens when you go on a diet and you lower the nutrition because you've lowered the quantity of the food in which nutrition exists, the body then to react goes in starvation mode, prevents you from burning fat, turns to your muscles for fuel, But that's so inefficient. It slows down your metabolism, the rate at which you burn calories. That's why you plateau, and that's why you've gained all the weight back over and over again. But I think
Well, it
something,
does. It slows down more than just your weight. It slows down your motive, your energy, everything. I mean, I got depressed after so many things flopped. I guess
right.
that's a safe word to use.
No, that's fine. That's definitely for family friendly. So, um, and I think you're a living example of that. That the point is, I don't think anybody in their right mind could really believe that you're talking. If we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, and 50% pre-diabetic, that the diets, they just don't work because again, they're based on the wrong principle. And I'm glad you brought that up. It's way beyond just hunger. It's emotional. It's energy. I don't
Financial.
want to put words in your mouth. I mean, sleeping
It's
better,
financial.
financial. Yeah, yeah. Because a lot of these
It takes a
programs
lot,
are
and then your family's involved. You got families involved with it. They're trying to see the progress, and if you're depending on you, for a long time, I was a single mom. If they're depending on you, it's a situation for them. This trickle down to my children. So I mean, it can affect everybody.
well. I think the thing that I'd like to ask you is that I mean, I hope this is the case that you have a real sense of hope for the future because this has been so dramatic and so fast. And you were commenting that you were shocked you weren't hungry.
Right. I have a very, very, very secure hope for the future at this point. It is better than amazing for me because I'm eliminating weight. It's not like a weight loss for me. I feel light. There's
Well,
a
and
difference.
and obviously you're shrinking. You were telling me that so we have people measure when they start. I want to clarify the audience. We have you measure from your neck, basically to your ankles, arms, but obviously the abdomen, the waist, the stomach area, which is where
Yeah.
most of the inches are. But in 18 days, I mean, total of all those inches, I,
Yep.
did I
So
mishear you? Are you
I was with Cindy and I was able to calculate.
okay?
And guess what? It's 27.4
Mm.
in 18 days. It's 27.4. Big deal for moi. Okay.
No, just so what does that look? Remember, you're talking to people just like you out there that have been in this quiet desperation, who have
You can
wanted
do this.
desperately to lose the weight.
Right.
So what is this doing as you're speaking to them? Speak to them from where you are, or I'm sorry, where you were compared to the hope you now have.
Okay, so where I was the prior issues were facing high blood pressure, constant headaches, like I said, depression, frustration, anger. Like I was dealing with anger a lot. Um, Swelling of the arms and legs. This part of my arm would constantly be really swollen, and now it's like barely any swelling right here. I mean, that was a big deal for me. Loads of inflammation and insomnia. I don't know if most heavy people know what it's like to sleep, especially on your back or on your sides. It's a task. So, I mean, I'm not dealing with half of that. My husband has noticed a difference. My children are getting excited. And, abundant of, I take care of a lot of people. All of them are looking to, they're excited too. So everybody's looking for the end game of this. And they're like, oh, whoa, what's going to happen next? Like, it's like a TV show.
Well, but again, and I keep coming back to this point. I mean, I don't know if shock's a big enough word. Are you just like, I mean, is it almost like, is this real?
Right. You have to stand there. Like, there's times I'm looking at it. Some of my people like, don't keep looking at the scale. And I'm like, but I'm addicted to the scale.
Well,
I know
that's
that's
not horrible, but we'd rather have you measure after each of your 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast, and we'll get into that in just a moment.
Mhm.
But I really think, and and I've shared the, and I'll share it with the audience again, but as you know, my mother was morbidly obese my whole life, and I never knew her thin, and I never knew her healthy. And 23 years ago, she called me up and said, Peter, I have one wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything to spend 24 hours thin. And I said, wow, that's a great goal, Mom. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. And my mom, like you, although I think she did more diets than you did, she would cut diets out of the National Enquirer. She'd Reader's Digest. She did Jenny Craig. She did Weight Watchers. She did OptiFast. She did all these things. And I just, and Yvette, I expressed that to you before. I can't even begin to tell you what I would have given to have been in those days. It would be a phone call because there was no Zoom, there was none of this stuff, right? And I just feel that we really owe it to everyone. We're not here to try to sell anybody or convince anybody. We're here to, really
Give them the option.
give them the option, celebrate
Trust
your
and trust.
story and your success. That, and I know now you're like, I can't stop you. You want to like tell everybody about this, right?
Well, I'm like your mom. I mean, I can't say specifically because I don't know. Everybody's situation is different, and that's a real personal, touchy situation. But in the sense of me knowing I'm a mom and I have children, I think of that when the doctor talks about putting a stent in my heart because I have fluid on my heart. I think about stuff like that when you're battling high blood pressure and it's from stress, but you're like, how do you not stress? You're like, I got all these things to juggle, and on top of that, I got to watch what I eat. It's it's a lot, But and I know there's a lot of moms out here, especially breastfeeding moms. That's like taxing. You know how many breastfeeding moms are out here, so-called facing pre-diabetic while trying to figure out how to build their body to be able to prepare for their babies. It's like, well, okay, but everything has sugar in it, so you trying to help me avoid sugar, and you're giving me limited options on how to do that, and they taste bleh. Like I went to I went to become a culinary specialist or a dietitian only because I wanted to learn how to give food flavor again. And now we have the option. We have more options available, and it's wow. It's a shocking me. I'm
Well,
just so grateful.
so what's something that we haven't covered yet that has really contrasting this with any diet you've ever been on? What would you say is just a monumental difference? Like you went, I can't believe this. This is crazy. What would you say one of the big, huge differences between any of the diets you were ever on? Because they all were the same. All you were doing was reducing the amount of food you were consuming.
One of the biggest ones was what are you saying as in like which one I saw the most results out of?
No, what I'm asking you is that what doing this,
Mhm.
contrasting that all the diets you had experienced before, you
There's no
know,
contrast.
the,
There
the,
is no similarities. There's none of that. I mean, I've heard of something called, and I don't really know about it, but it's like carnivore diet. And I mean, I like meat, so
well,
it sounds.
but we have a version of that. So we take
Mhm.
carnivore and we actually make it better. But
Right.
um, I think what you've said anyway is that you're obviously, well, what's it worth just to sleep better at night?
Please, there is no value on that. I don't know how to I don't know how to express it. When you have a better mindset and more self-esteem, a lot of the other opportunities just present themselves. Everything is just
So obviously
clear.
that didn't happen on other diets. I mean, basically
No, it was a struggle. You
you
didn't
were
really want
doing
to
it,
do
but
it in the
you
first
were,
place.
am I right? You were doing it, but you were miserable.
Right. It was like I'm making myself do this because I know I need to do this, but it's not something I want to do. I wasn't really like feeling, yay, let's do this. It was like, let's do this. Kind of drag. But and you get some people that are still encouraging on these other things because they know the health is really the whole point of it all. But I mean, you got some people that don't care nothing about that. I mean, I've dealt with it personally. I had a grandfather who juggled a lot of things, and the only thing he could come up with is eliminating sugar. That helped him, but he still had the struggle of figuring out which foods to eat after that. But with this, that you all pretty much lay us out so many, like even with your book, you talk about so many key points in understanding the mindset to have
Yes.
first.
Yeah, the mindset is really a big thing because what I would say now is you already have a reason to believe that there's no way you don't want to continue.
Right.
And the program, as you know, it's called R2M, that stands for Race to Maintenance. Because
Right.
our goal with you is to is
I
to,
love every time I hear it. I just think about, okay, we got this. Eliminate.
yeah, but again, as I'm trying to point out the listeners that this isn't about deprivation. I mean, you're not hungry. Look,
No.
for the listeners, and see if you agree with this, because you already learned a lot and you've been following. Well, let me ask you this: how helpful is what we gave you, the blueprint for success, the step-by-step, you have a grocery list of, I mean, how much help is that?
Let me tell you something, Peter. I have to tell everyone, y'all better read when they first enlighten you, okay? Because I'm the kind of person I just take off and I come read later when I've done tripped up a little bit.
Nope.
But read it, and then it will really encourage you and help you stay like on that. I took off once I read it. I had more success once I read it and actually paid attention to the steps because it's very simple. You just have to do it though. Hearing it is a little different from reading it.
Well, to clarify for everybody, we have written instructions and
Right.
instructional videos, including with the #1 nutritional weight loss and physiologist in the world who conducted the medical studies that you're going by. That we should tell everybody that this is backed by 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies, not scientific papers, not on mice, not on rats, but on human beings. And the thing is, you're already experiencing what they proved in those medical trials. But to
Yes.
think we have the #1 scientist in the world coaching you every day with a 10 or 12-minute video, how much is that inspiring, motivating you to get the results you're getting?
I'm I don't want to do nothing different. I just want to keep going. They have to remind me, okay, it's okay. You're doing great. You just don't know it yet. This is great results. And I'm like, no, I'm not done yet. I want to I want to get to the finish line. Because it's been a long time since I had something that I'm comfortable with. I don't have all these side effects, and I don't know. It's just
Well,
it meets
let's
me
put it in
financially.
perspective, okay, for people. So they did New England Journal of Medicine and also the Journal of American Medical Association, many other journals. They had 12-month studies of people who, one group of people, they put them on just lowering calories. We both know that's nonsense. They were really lowering the amount of food. Then we had another group of people that did something called intermittent fasting. Now let's clarify for people. This is intermittent nutritional fasting, nothing like intermittent fasting, nothing like fasting, okay? So in all those studies, and it was a total of 48 different studies, over 7,000 people in 12 months. So to put your results in perspective, after
Well,
12
you all
months,
provide nutrition while doing the intermittent fasting, which
yeah,
helps
yes,
dramatically.
yes,
You
yes, yeah,
don't get those hangering,
right,
those
right.
issues. And
Because,
even I have to be honest with you, I
yeah,
did feel a little hungry my first time,
that's
but
okay.
it wasn't that kind that makes you anxious to go and do
Correct,
something different.
correct. And so basically well, in these studies, which had nothing to do with this, but as a comparison, okay? In a
Hmm.
year's time, when they looked at the amount of weight loss, whether it was Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, in a year's time, the only difference in weight loss was 10 ounces in 12 months. And those people, yeah, that in a year. But what was the weight loss? What was the real number? In 12 months, the average weight loss on all these diets was about 16 pounds in a year. Let's keep going. And when they
True.
measured it, 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. And of course, they felt awful. And all the people have gained back all their weight, just like you. I mean, have you ever met anyone that ever lost weight and kept it off? Of your friends, of your colleagues, of your family, or whoever? Have you ever seen it happen?
No, they didn't. The ones that kept it off usually had surgery,
Yeah,
and they too have lost a lot of, like you said, muscle mass or
right.
or
Well, they have
strength.
all that loose skin, and you've seen the before and afters. Where I mean, I can't even show them on social media because they would, and people still go there and think we photoshopped them. But now we didn't Photoshop anything, right?
That's what got me. The after of this, I saw people around my weight that still have toned skin. They're not sagging. I was like, whoa, I want that. I was like, whatever that is, I want
Well,
it.
I just think, and so let me give everyone an overview just so they're clear. So basically, the scientists who developed this had done 38 years of research. They'd done diet weight loss studies for 38 years, about 150 studies, thousands of people. And what was true, just like for you, Yvette, they lost weight. But every time when they measured, what they were losing was primary lean muscle mass, which is why people end up with the loose skin. But also, every time, every person gained back all their weight or more. I mean, I have a study here. I'll read it. I'll read it right, everybody. And hopefully you'll agree with this now, Yvette. This article, Why You Shouldn't Count Calories. Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. You proved it. Keep going. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. Am I singing to the choir here?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, you are. For especially most of those. Now, I will say the trizepatide again. That was the shot thing. Who cares to do that to themselves? I don't know, but I understand we have to do what we have to do sometimes for health reasons.
Sure.
I would say that I lost. That was the most I lost was like 25 pounds. I was able, but look at it. I only was able to endure for a month and a half because of all the side effects. It still had so many side effects, and I haven't had. I mean, except for happiness, I haven't had any side
That's
effects.
a terrible sign. Now look,
So
let's be clear. So the triepazide or semaglutide or Ozempic, all these GLP-1s, I'm not even against them. And there are instances people are diabetic or maybe they just
right.
can't do it. Okay, but now let's put this in perspective. New England Journal of Medicine did a 68-week study on semaglutide, similar to try what you were doing. After 68 weeks, the average weight loss was 32 pounds. You've lost 29 pounds in 18 days. Are you kidding me? Are
Right.
you, I mean, you see, it's not even in this. It almost sounds too good to be true. But here was the other thing. In the study, and this was done by the New England Journal of Medicine, people, 40% of what they lost was their lean muscle mass, which you both know that's what's going to lead to the loose skin.
No, I have a truck. Let me tell you, Peter. I have a truck, a big one. I'm one of them truck girls. Okay.
I love
I have
it.
I have a truck, and I was not able to get on top of my truck when I first bought it. But I said my goal was for me to be able to stand, like just jump on the back of it whenever I wanted to. I've got on my truck 4 times in the last 2 weeks. That's a big deal because I had knee issues. I had a lot of inflammation in my ankles and my knees,
So
and
that
I don't
is,
know if it's all the
and
full.
we know in the medical studies that they measured inflammation went down 25% in 30 days. I
It's
think that's
definitely
what you,
down. It's
that,
I can move freely.
yeah. So
I had
again,
they
what's
so-called
that worth?
fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
They
Well,
they diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. I don't know if anybody knows what kind of pain that is. It's undescribable. You know, I used to crawl to the bathroom. That's how embarrassing it is. And at my age, I'm mid-age. You know, that's a lot to be able to fully move and not feel
I would encourage you to
tight.
be on our, we have that Thursday night call where everybody comes on and shares, because we have a young woman on there she's had fibromyalgia and she's about 14 or 15 years
I
old.
heard about her,
Mia,
Mia.
yeah,
Yeah, I
excruciating.
have a daughter named
Well,
Mia.
we actually did an interview with her about a week ago I interviewed her too. So you're another
Wow.
one saying the same thing. Now, look, everyone, hear me again. We're not treating, diagnosing, curing. We don't need to do
Right.
that. All right. What we're sharing with you is what they did in the medical studies. I didn't quite finish that. I will in a moment for everyone.
Mhm.
So what we taught you to do, Yvette, and what we taught Mia and everybody else to do exactly what they did in the medical trials, including you got a grocery list that you can take to the grocery store. Those are the items. You don't have to guess about anything, right? Now,
Right.
the key to this is, like I said, you're doing intermittent nutritional fasting, but let's back up. 5 days a week, you're basically having, it sounds crazy to everybody, but basically like 4 meals a day. You're having
Mhm.
because this is made up, 40% of the food that you would consume is from the grocery store, and the other 60% of these 5 foods that the researchers use in the medical trials, but they don't come from the United States. They come from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, from Tibet and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. Now, why did they have to do that? Because they had tremendous amounts of nutrition, not tremendous amount of calories, and you're experiencing that right now. That's why you're
Right.
not hungry, right?
Right.
So on a protein pacing day, breakfast is from that food group. No food from the grocery store. Lunch from the grocery store. Dinner from the grocery store. And then a fourth meal, again, these 5 foods. So you do that 5 days a week. 2 days a week you do, we were talking about it, intermittent nutritional fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store, but just these 5 foods spread out. You have 4 servings over the course of about 10 or 12 hours. But I want everybody to understand, why is she not hungry? Well, again, let's go to the medical trials. In the medical, they're not trials, they were published big studies. People's hunger went down 41% in 30 days. Do you believe your hunger has actually gone down? And if you were
Well,
honest about it,
I
the
have to
amount
make
of
myself eat.
you have to make yourself eat. So a lot of people tell me that the cost of those 5 foods and the 40% of the food is probably about as much as they were spending before, but now they've eliminated all junk food, not because we made them, because they lost their cravings. Do you
No,
feel
and then
like?
And then I have shared the results. I've had two people that were diabetic that was with me experimenting or experiencing the same thing. They said they lost their sugar cravings the first day.
Wow.
The first day. I lost mine. I don't remember when I lost mine, but it's the I'm sure
No,
because I don't even have cravings.
I forgot to ask you, are you on any medications or have you been,
No,
I know, but were you worried
they
about
tried to put me on medications. They tried to put me on the pre-diabetic medications. They tried to put me on. Tried to give me a heart stent. They tried to load me up with pain medications. None.
and if you can even describe for us, I mean, honestly, how do you feel?
Great, better than amazing. Like I don't know how to explain it. I don't think those really explain. I feel the life difference that I don't want to change. I mean, I do want to change. I want to keep going in the direction I'm
Right.
headed.
You were,
But I mean, I don't want to change this feeling. Like it's oof.
yeah. And I think I tell people all the time, you know, when they want me to explain it to them, I said, it's experiential. I said, you can't, I always use, you know, and you know, I've
Very
written,
good term.
right. And so
Experiential.
what I say to people, I said, look, I think I'm a pretty good orator, right? I've been doing this a long time. I've written 4 best-selling books, but I could describe being at the beach to you. And as good a job as I could do, the minute you go to the beach, you put your feet in the sand and smell the salt air and hear the seagulls, I can't replicate that. That's an experience, right?
Yes.
And so in closing, isn't this literally an experience? And then in closing, I want you to have the final word to reach out to those people that are going to be watching this. To what would you tell them as your wish for them?
Well, I wish for you abundance of love, life, gratitude with the R2M protocol because you're going to have all of that in some when you get this feeling and you can share it with others.
Well, I can't say it any better than that. So, Yvette, thank you very much. And I know you've already agreed to come on and do another interview as you move on your journey because we're not stopping
Absolutely.
here because this is definitely not a destination. This is a journey, and we want to go on this journey with you because you're going to help so many other people at the same time. So, Yvette, thank you very, very much. I think this was I'm prejudiced, great interview, and I think we're gonna help an awful lot of people. So, have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay.
Same to you all.
Okay, fantastic. Nyan, are you there? I'm just talking to my guy. Are you closing?